think right now we've got the next session is about the talk to the experts. So for the talk to the experts, we've got different experts that are with us today. So number one, we actually have a special guest. We've got Rick. Rick, do you want to introduce yourself? So you're one of our customers, and what do you do, Rick?
Hi, Rick Marshall. I work for RWC Worldwide. We're a plumbing manufacturer and wholesaler, and we actually now have a web presence in the form of Supply Smart. We're very happy customers of 360. We haven't fully utilized it yet in terms of helping us with an upgrade because we just completed an acquisition of a company called EasyFlow, and so that's kind of slowed us down on our overall BOBJ upgrade. But we're looking forward to big things, and it's helped a lot already in terms of our ability to recover from mistakes with our universes.
Okay, and do you have any projects where you're going to leverage 360? So I think you've got some projects that are coming in the near future.
Absolutely, yes. We have two projects coming up. One is the upgrade that we're going to do to S4 HANA. So that'll be huge. And then, of course, we're going to, following very shortly after that, we're going to be upgrading to BusinessObjects 4.3. We're currently on 4.2 SP9, Fixpack 11.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rick. So also for this panel of experts, we have Nathan Truan. Nathan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi. Nathan Truan. I'm a senior manager with Protiviti. I've been doing business objects, just straight business objects since 2014, but analytics since about 2007, which also did include early Crystal.NET and VB as well as some other third-party tools. So I mainly focus in the infrastructure and architecture side. I've done migrations, installs, some SDK work, other migration stuff. So do a lot with the 360 tools as well. Utilize that a lot in our migrations. So it's good to see you all.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, by the way, where are you based, Nathan?
Atlanta.
Okay. So Rick is in Atlanta. Nathan is there as well. So that's cool. So we had Patrick earlier, so I'm not sure we need to introduce Patrick, and everybody knows Patrick. So, if somebody doesn't know Patrick, just let me know and just.
That's bad Patrick though, right?
Just put a comment in the chat and I'll share his phone number.
You're really Patrick this time.
And then also we've got Keith Johnson. So KJ, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Welcome everybody. My name is Keith Johnson. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for CBeyond Data. We focus in on federal clients, leveraging a variety of business objects and data services, information store tools for them. We've been, utilizing the variety of 360 suite tools going back, I don't know, Bruno, 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah.
It goes back a while. So that's it for me.
Okay. So just for the audience, so first you've got some questions, please feel free to ask them. If you've got some nice curveball, just actually they're very welcome. Either Rick will have the answer, like Rick's been doing that forever. So he's not a consultant, but I tell you, he's been doing that for pretty much all his life. Or Nathan will answer, or KJ will be answering. And by the way, I'll be curious to know which version of BOBJ you guys are on. So we actually have one question from Mohammed. So for backup and restore, how we know file store and CMS database are in sync together while taking while talking to SAP and cloud? Anybody wants to take that question?
I think if that's more the private cloud edition, if you're talking private cloud question versus SAP in your own SAP cloud, that would be working with the SAP team, with Patrick and them, to make sure those backups happen accordingly, submitting a ticket to check the periodic and timing of those backups. Those do occur. It's just making sure they'll let you know the schedule of those, and those will be part of the SLA as well. Patrick, you can probably shed more light on that too.
No, that succinctly says it all.
Okay, yeah, and for your own cloud implementations, that's working with your infrastructure team to make sure your SQL Server, whatever database you're utilizing in your FRS, are backed up just like you would on-premise.
In terms of migration in general, what are the best practices? What can you guys recommend to the audience? So, a lot of people have done, of course, migrations, but like you guys have been doing that also forever. KJ, what would you recommend? Like, what are the top 3 things that you would recommend for anybody doing a migration to be successful?
Expect the unexpected. Something is always going to break. It never fails, right? No matter how much due diligence you do, just kind of expect that something is going to come out of left field, and you're going to have to deal with it. I don't think I've had one upgrade ever go super smoothly, or it's gone smoothly, and then you're just waiting for that ball to drop, right? What got missed in the background, right? So the more due diligence and testing that you can do as part of that upgrade process, kind of reduces those kind of unexpected things that pop out of left field. So, I don't know. Anybody else?
Rick, you've got any comments on that? What would you recommend for people? Like, you've been involved in many migrations over the years.
We haven't used 360 yet with a migration, but yes, I've been involved with many migrations, and boy, oh boy, it would have been great to have 360 for those. But I guess the thing that was most important for us was do it in a test environment first. Make sure you've got all your ducks in a row, that everything works in the new environment. That has been absolutely key to minimizing issues on our part.
Yeah, you bet. Funny enough, I don't know if it was with you, we were talking last week, Rick, but we've actually seen a customer not that long ago who did basically an in-place migration, and he had a lot of issue, and he didn't do anything in parallel, and that was very hectic. And of course, they didn't test anything, and they had a lot of issues in that migration.
Plus the fact, the big key to what we've done in the past is back everything up. Everything we've got now is entirely on VM. So, hey, make a copy of that VM, make a copy of your CMS database, make a copy of your FRS, have everything completely backed up, so that if it all comes apart, you can put it back together very quickly, and you're not going to suffer downtime.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, on your S4 migration, when do you think you'll be finished?
Well, the original plan was to be finished the end of third quarter 23, but now it sounds like we may not be beginning until third quarter 23.
And Patrick, Nathan, KJ, do you got any recommendations for Rick when it comes to that type of migration?
So you're saying S for HANA?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, Bruno, talking about bringing something out of left field, right?
Yeah.
I told you.
Wow.
Well, okay. Well, maybe you don't, and that's something you can think about, and that's all cool. So, and so earlier we're talking about PCE. So, is there some experience that you guys want to share? So I know Nathan, KJ, you've been involved in actually in a couple PC migrations. So I know because we've worked together on these. So what are things that you can share with the audience there, Nathan?
Well, the biggest thing, like even Rick saying earlier and Patrick said in the prior meeting, is to set up the staging environment. You want some environment set up so that way you can do the conversion, especially for those customers coming from Windows to Linux, checking your data sources, converting everything over from possibly SQL Server to Data Direct, or from native clients to JDBC clients, data sources, and then doing any kind of SAML testing in that to make sure things work. Or in general, any migration, just making sure standing up new environments to make sure, because take that as an opportunity to upgrade, double check that your connections that you're going to, especially since you're going to a new version, if you're coming from an older 4.2, or even before that, we've had customers coming from 3.x and 4.1 that try to jump straight to 4.3, and even local or PC, and say, why aren't things working right? Well, we've made such a large jump that things aren't compatible anymore, and making sure your data sources and the back ends and stuff are in the compatible versions, your drivers and everything else. So that's the biggest thing, is the staging environment, to have a playground and test with all that first.
KJ, like you're involved in some PC migrations, and in your case, it's with NS2. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that's for federal customers. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
And any recommendations when it comes to that?
For us, it was making sure you had essentially your migration. If you haven't done this before, outline all of your customizations, not customizations, configurations within your environment. Just like Nathan talked about, knowing what drivers you need to support all your reports and universes, knowing what configurations that you've done to the property files, what how many what SSL certificates you need in place for each of one of your environments. Having that that checklist is truly key, so you can walk through that as you go through that migration to make sure that, hey, we haven't forgot something, or hey, this is the way we had it configured over here, maybe on a Windows environment. How do we translate that to Linux? But having that kind of outline, it doesn't have to be, screenshotted all the way through, but making sure you've got that outline so you don't forget a step. Because that's the worst thing, is when you get everything migrated over and you're like, well, this is not, something isn't working, and then you're having to go back through and troubleshoot through everything.
And you were talking about Linux. So let's say you've got customers, and a lot of deployments today are on 4.2. And so to go to PC in general, the path is people are going to 4.3. And Patrick, tell me if I'm not correct technically here, but most people will tend to go to 4.3, and then after that go do the migration to PCE.
That's what we have found to be a best practice.
So
to help mitigate some of the migration problems.
And when would you guys recommend so it's Windows deployment, when would you guys recommend to switch to Linux? Would you do it in 4.2? Would you wait to do this in 4.3?
In that staging environment, you would do that. You could do it during 4.3 when you install that staging environment, so you know how it's going to behave in the PCE environment. So you want that to basically be a smaller container of a like to like of what it's going to be in your PCE environment. So you want to see how that's going to behave, and then you work on the migrating and converting any dependencies for that, so you know how it's going to behave in that environment.
Yep, yeah. I would agree, and especially when it comes to database drivers, right? Knowing sure what versions will work, what's compatible. That is the opportunity to do it. Not the way you can't troubleshoot in the PC environment, but the sooner you can do that beforehand, the easier that migration becomes.
And is it a big work to convert from Windows to Linux? Is this something that involves a lot of work behind the scene?
Put out there, it depends. I say that with the greatest of
That's an easy answer.
I'm glad someone said it before me.
We have customers that, have, 50, 60 reports, the low-end customers, not low-end, but, smaller customers should say 50, 60 reports, one data source connection, use Windows AD, small shop, easy conversion. Then we have a customer, has 1.5 million web reports, 100 different universes, 60 different connections. When SQL Server uses, a cluster of systems that are all Windows AD, that one's going to be a big one. And that's going to take a lot of time to convert because you've got to go through every data source, got to go through all the universes, confirm that all those connections work afterwards and they're converted. Take all your users, because there's probably thousands of users in there, making sure all the aliases are in place for those users before they're converted, because they got to go to LDAP versus AD when they go to Linux. So you got to convert all those aliases from Windows AD to LDAP and put enterprise aliases in place as you migrate those over, or configure LDAP. That's why you have your staging environment, configure LDAP in both, so you bring those over and then stage them up. So there's just a few things like that you have to work on. So those will take quite a bit longer, and it all depends on the amount of content and the type of content.
Yeah, and I do confirm, we hear from customer that takes quite a bit of time. So that can be very challenging.
And that's where the 360 tools will help too, because it helps what kind of content do you have, how long will this take, and some of the testing and that after the fact too, and even using that testing in the staging environment. Hey, how does this universe behave before and after, before we even get into the PCE?
Hey, I see a question here about OData, and have you guys used OData in 4.3 SP2 or not yet?
Not as of yet. We just, I know from our perspective, we just upgraded to Service Pack 2 patch 6 or 600 about a month or 4 to 6 weeks ago when it came out. But we haven't tested the OData connectivity as of yet.
Nathan, Rick, have you guys tested that or?
Not yet.
Yeah, I hear we believe that's going to be quite popular, because actually you can use now Webby as a as an official data source there, and that's very practical.
I think it's huge. I think it's huge. Yeah, I've played with it on the tenants that we have internally, but I haven't set it up yet or anything. But I have played with it, and it does work nicely. I think it will be a big step for you, as you said, Bruno.
Yeah, and it's a legal way to do that, because there were, not to say, but we are going to say it, as there were people that were doing things going behind the scene that was not supported by SAP, and that was actually infringing SAP's license agreement and the patents of business objects. And so that was actually not a good thing. We've never done that, in fact. That's why we've never done it. And it's a good way to do that legally. And it's very common to see people, customers using Webby as a data source. And in some cases, you want to use that to go towards other BI solutions. So, that's.
Don't say naughty words, Bruno.
No, I'm not. Hey, I'm just saying, Patrick. You'll appreciate I haven't mentioned anything else.
Yeah, I know.
So I think we should be fine.
But it is a great point in that regard too, though. Instead of using Webby as an ETL, as Nathan Crook noted in the last session, where you then lose control of that data once it's out. If you can use OData as a way to get to the Webby document data itself without having to have an intermediary move and replication, then that should be useful for you for whatever use case you're going for.
Yeah, and actually these were discussions I remember we had together since I think 4.1 or so. So that's kind of interesting. Like Nathan, Rick, KJ, so BI 2024, what do you guys think? Are you guys excited? Any comments or any limitations that you guys see? Or it sucks? I don't know.
No, looking forward to seeing what happens with the product. I'm really excited that it is continuing both on-premise and that the code bases will be the same. So we're looking forward to that. Still a few things to iron out to see what happens with a few of the things that we have customers asking us about. And we've seen a few of those coming up about multi-source data sources, as support for UNXs and crystal reports, for example, things like that. So there's our own roadmap for later to see how that stuff irons out. But we're looking forward to seeing what happens and seeing how that comes into play.
You got a good point about the multi-source. And if customers have not migrated yet have not converted to UNX, make sure you don't go that route. So because it's not important.
We talked to a customer that's basically, what are you using in business objects? We're using Crystal Enterprise, we're using multi-source data sources, and we're using Live Office. Well, you're using the 3 exact products that are being deprecated in 2024. Okay.
All right.
So let's work on a migration plan to get you in the next couple of years over to, Web Intelligence. What can you do with Web Intelligence? What can you do with Crystal? What can you do getting rid of the getting all the connections into one data using the new tools in 4.3 SP3, and also, staging everything in an intermediate database to merge the content together. Things like that.
But what you're describing here, that's not the norm, because most customers, they have
exactly. That's the exception to the rule. But also you come across things like that. It's like, yeah.
And Rick, for you, any comments about BI 2024? What does that mean for you guys at RWC?
So it's a product we really haven't looked seriously at yet. We are excited to see that it's continuing on-prem, because our leadership really wants to maintain that, for good or for ill. And, they're kind of old school group of guys. So, that's about all I really got to say about it at this moment. To be honest, we're probably 2 years out before we'd adopt.
And is this something where you will stay, basically, you think you'll stay in 4.3 for some time, and then after that, so it's BI 2024 is supposed to be out for Christmas next year?
Right. So I would assume that we'll be into 4.3 sometime during 2023. And so I would anticipate staying on that for at least a year and maybe more. We want to see, how is 2024 settling in? Are people happy with it? Let's get a couple of service packs under our belt.
Yeah, and I understand why sometimes you like to stay a couple of versions behind. I know in the past, actually, you didn't always have the right flavor. So I understand, and I understand internally you've got in terms of cloud, I understand why you're not as active in that place. So that makes
hey, you look at our most recent experience. We a couple of months ago, 3-4 months ago now, we upgraded from 4.2 SP3 up to SP9, and I don't remember the fixed pack level we came into 9 on, but immediately there was a bug, so we had to do a very quick upgrade to get rid of that bug. And that introduced another bug, so we had to do another upgrade, and that introduced the bug where password, bringing in new users and setting up an expiring password, that bug, and so we just barely got rid of that one, and now Instance Manager isn't working, so we're going to have to do another upgrade. Overall, the product is fantastic, right? But there's little annoyances on the way. So, with a whole new version, you want to stay a couple of service packs behind the curve.
Hey, Rick, let's face it, if it was perfect, we'd all be without a job. So. And you know what? It's not necessarily greener across the street. So that I can say.
Oh, of course not. Exactly.
But I get it.
I've been involved with this progression of products from Crystal Info to Seagate Info to Crystal Enterprise to BusinessObjects Enterprise and now BIP, for that entire history, right? So I'm a raving fan.
Okay. And when you go to 4.3, will you go for SP2 or SP3?
My guess is SP3.
Okay. Okay. And I'm not sure if SP3 is there or has been, if there was like a private release. Nathan, KJ, are you aware of anything like that?
You mean like a pre-release or something?
Yes.
I haven't seen anything. Or
yeah, we're months away. So,
well, it's always good that you've got somebody first to do it before you.
Exactly, 100%.
And KJ, what do you think about BI 2024?
I'm interested to see what comes to pass. Yeah. There's a lot of time between now and then, and things change. So I'm hopefully optimistic, but we will see what it looks like in that 12 months or so.
We were at a user group about a month ago with Patrick. And he was presenting about BI 2024, and actually that was really a relief for the entire audience there, because a lot of people were thinking, okay, SAP is not investing anymore,
right?
Business Object, and it's a problem, and we'll need to go some other routes.
I think from just being able to support both on-prem and hosted, I think that definitely gives a lot more future to a lot of the installations out there, right? There's not a lot of people were starting to see that writing on the wall of like, oh, this is going away, or this is going to have to get migrated to the cloud, or
right.
To that hosted solution. So then everybody's kind of scrambling. Well, what do we do? Do we? So I think that from that perspective, I think that's great news in terms of still being able to support on-prem or your own data center. So I think that's a big relief to people.
Okay. Patrick, we have a question from Noel, who's asking, so we should test, does SAP test their changes?
We do, and especially in the PCE process, I think that's going to become more evident that we've done a lot of the testing on the environments that we have stood up and are managing ourselves. So testing is always good. And, I think that you'll find with the PCE, at least, if that's where I'm assuming that's coming from, I think that you'll find that the testing protocols will help ease some of the burden of the lifecycle management process as you go through right now.
And like Noel, in terms of testing, what we were referring to earlier is for 360, this is really more, you've done an upgrade. After that, you want to ensure that there are no regressions, in your documents. It's something that's got nothing to do there with, the type of testing that Patrick has been addressing. And to be frank, it's part of a traditional CI/CD, pipeline type of framework. So, it's critical just to make sure that you can track all the changes and make sure that there are any regressions that you find them. We have a question, and I guess that one is for me, from Muhammad, asking, what is the cost benefit to get 360 suite solutions for one migration project? How can we use it post-migration, normal operation? Well, here the answer is very simple, is, there are a lot of advantages here, like even customers that don't necessarily have a large budget. I can think about City of Chicago, for example, where it's notoriously known they don't have a lot of money. And, still they invest in 360 to do their migrations. I remember in the past, we actually did a use case with them where on their migration itself, actually they had saved, I think, 2 persons on a migration project. So that was actually pretty huge. And of course, they could do a lot more testing that without leveraging 360, they could not do. And in terms of post-migration, you can do a lot of automation behind the scene with 360. So that will save a lot of operation maintenance costs. So we had some use cases as well with Vanderbilt Medical University Center, where on average, they save about 80% of admin time leveraging 360, because things are very manual, and there you can automate all the processes. If you have to document your BOBJ environment for compliance purposes is going to do all that on your own. So there are a lot of benefits. And of course, if you put in place like a CI/CD framework, you can't do it without. So that's very powerful there.
I think just where you guys covered the backup and restore, I think that pays for itself after having to do one restore, period.
Mm.
No offense, Patrick, but
I was gonna say, don't put me in a spot where I have to badmouth my employer, but I agree with everything you said.
Trying to do a restore, like a version restore,
Right.
is just so much simpler within 360 that that one activity will pay for itself.
No, and I totally agree. I mean, what we tend to focus on in development, it tends to be more of the end user experience, and so a lot of these kinds of things fall in the cracks, and partners like Wiiisdom are able to fill in those cracks very nicely.
And KJ, I know, and Nathan as well, I know you're you're very familiar with 360 and with actually the backup and restore. When you are in the cloud, so let's say you've got a DR site, what do you see are the benefits of using 360 there for the DR site? What have you seen over the years, KJ?
Definitely a more granular approach to bringing up the DR site, right? Being able to restore to a point in time versus having to, restore VMs. I mean, there's still some aspects of that, right? Keeping those in sync. But the ability to granularly kind of restore content is just a lot easier with fewer headaches.
Yeah. And to go along with that, like you had mentioned in your prior presentation, you might have a sync in your cloud environment that syncs your Azure SQL database or does your NetApp FRS between your primary and your secondary sites. But you also have the situation to where if you have corrupted data in your primary site, it gets synced over to your secondary site. It brings up your DR, and your secondary site comes up with bad corrupted data. So you also have the 360 tools to where, you have this system that comes up, but you can go and say, hey, this data, we need to restore properly, or we can bring up a live environment and do a restore of the data we actually need in the environment. It gives you a lot more comfort in the fact that you're bringing up data that is actually there that you need.
Well, so Nathan, I was going to say, Nathan, is that from past experience?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, the good thing is now we can hire both of you. So, or the POs.
Yeah, I think the other Patrick would have a problem with that. But
that I do believe it. So, but hey guys, I don't know if you got some other topics you want to bring up. If not, we'll move on to the next session with Gregory Botticcio. Nathan, any other topics you want to bring up?
No, like I said, the biggest thing is these tools have really helped with migrations, have really helped stabilize a lot of systems. We've used them a lot in our migrations overall. Like you said, the cost benefit analysis, I just wanted to add to that. We've had a couple projects where we've scoped out and said, we can do these, like Patrick said earlier, we can do these for this cost and give it to you, where we do one report per universe per connection. Here's what it would take us to do it all manually for your entire environment. And they look at the number and go, I can't believe this is going to cost this much or this long, or this is what it's going to cost you to actually do it right using the 360 bind, 360 view tools to actually get a full comparison of this environment and get it done right. And they see, that's what we want to do. So it definitely helps and makes sure that migrations and your environment is running stable and the migrations go very well.
Rick, any final word?
Just that if you got any doubt at all, the 360 tools are just essential. You'll go along for days or weeks without the need, and then all of a sudden a crisis will come up because something happened to corrupt something in your environment, and you can go dialing back through and find, as Nathan just pointed out, you can find something at a point in time that brings you back to full health in a matter of minutes, rather than days and days of trying to recreate something and do it badly. So even that happening once, and in my opinion, you've paid for 360.
KJ, any final word, or you're good?
I would just say that, reiterate the 360 tools are your Swiss Army knife, right? They are your go-to set of admin tools as well, in addition to your testing tools. The other thing, I will do a shout out to your developers and your support teams that have helped us in the past where we've hit brick walls or needed some additional functionality, and they've stepped up to the plate and added that into the tool set. So we do appreciate that from us as well as our customers.
Hey, thank you very much. Patrick, any word for the end? Are you good? You know what? I need to put you back to the stream.
There we go.
So sorry about that.
Sorry. As Bruno noted, it was International Dog Day, and I think my dog may have hit the plug on the Wi-Fi. But no, just thanks for your loyalty. Keep it up. Start playing with 4.3 and start playing with UNX. That's my
yeah. It's going to be a big topic, guys. So just don't wait for UNX. So start, the conversion as soon as possible. And you know what? I do know that next year we will actually be doing a specific event, and I'm actually trying to pull out the slide on that, but that will be specifically on UNX. So I think here it is okay, so we have a date. It's going to be on April 6th. So, UNVs are dead, or will be dead. And, check it out on how to go to UNX in a couple of simple steps. So, yeah.
You should go with the British theme there. Universe is dead, long live universe.
Right. We've done that, we've done that before. So, rest in peace, UNV. So, yeah. So, hey, guys, thank you very much. And I'll get Gregory Boticcio on, and have a great day. Thank you very much, guys.